All right, today we're here with Adam as well as John, of course, and we're going to talk about Adam's journey to closing his first two accounts in terms of merchants or merchant services, and kind of his process for prospecting and then ultimately closing those deals. So, Adam, first off, welcome to the call and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Aaron and John. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Do you want to kind of give a quick, maybe 2-minute intro, kind of like who you are, what you do, where you live, and kind of what got you into merchant services?
Yeah, so I'm Adam Essenmacher, like Aaron said. I live in Oklahoma. I'm in a small town outside of Enid, Oklahoma. I'm originally a crop duster agriculture pilot, so I have a very heavy job during my season. So I don't really have much time for anything else during the season, but I hit my off season and my wife actually found Paul Alex and we've been following him for a little while and we thoroughly enjoyed all his content he had and he was a very down to earth and I guess he presented himself very trustworthy to us and that's what really got us to really consider his program. And we, so far from what we have been doing in it, we have totally just loved it, and we're just love everything that he's been teaching us and portraying to us.
Awesome, amazing. So let's kind of talk through your two deals that you've closed. You kind of want to just do like a breakdown of kind of how each deal went and how the conversation got started, and also kind of maybe some objections or questions that came up during that process that you want to kind of share how you overcame those things.
Also,
Yep.
just really quickly, how long ago did you sign up?
I believe we signed up back in, I want to say the first part of September was when we signed up. I was still decently heavy in my seasonal job. So that kind of put a hold on some things because I was still working my seasonal job pretty consistently. But my first deal that I did was my brother-in-law. I contacted him back in September when we first signed up. He was a little bit busy with his hunting season and stuff, so I presented it to him as a cash discount program. I told him what it was, walked him through it. He was using Square at the time, and he is surcharging on top of that. So I explained it. He said he'll think about it, get back to me. About a month later, I reached out to him again, and he was still thinking about it. Of course, he got done with some of his hunting, so he had a little more time to think about it. But a lot of his objections were like, how would the customer handle this? And being he's surcharging already, why would he switch to us? Being he's already doing that. So most of those, I looked back at he's in New Mexico, so I looked at New Mexico's rules and stuff, and they actually have a no surcharging policy. So I sent that to him to overcome his surcharging.
Yeah.
And as far as objections, I was like, well, you're already kind of doing it, so the customers won't really notice, especially if you put out a sign too, then they'll be more aware and they'll get more cash flow going to you. So those are the two main objections that he had. Of course, then again, he had to think about it, talk to his wife and whatnot. And then came November. That was back in October. Came November, I reached out to him again, talked to him again. He was a lot more open to it, especially after learning that surcharging wasn't quite the right way to go in New Mexico. And he really wanted to stick at 3%. He didn't want to go any higher than that. So being it's my first account, I was like, okay, I will have you stick at 3%, but you would pay for your terminal and all that stuff. So he agreed to that, and he signed up a couple days later.
Awesome. And yeah, that's really key. I know I did speak to Adam a few times, but I don't remember that process. So that's really cool that he, even though he got the first objections, even a month later, he still followed up. And that's key. That's key. What I tell everybody is like, hey, you got to push through. You got to push through the objections, and you got to find the solutions. And like he went out and found that the solution to his objection, And one key thing I tell everybody as well is like, hey, if you go in your local area and you're trying to convince somebody, they say, I don't know if I want to go on the cash discount. Go find a restaurant or a business in that area that's already using cash discount. Grab that receipt, run over there and say, look, the guy down the road is doing it and he's working out perfectly fine.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's a very good thing you did. Congratulations on that one.
Thanks.
Yeah, and then so Adam, for you, if somebody's watching this and they're maybe still struggling to close their first deal, or maybe they're a little anxious of this kind of the conversation they're going to have with the merchant, anything that you would advise, like any tips of advice or wisdom from you now that you've closed 2 deals?
My wisdom and advice would be have a lot of documentation, kind of explaining it where you can hand it off to them. Even if you know your area has a ban against surcharging, have that printed out where you can show it to them. Just try to take as much over-prepare on your documents, so that way when you get there and they do have an objection, well, you have that document here you can show them or give it to them. And actually going out and talking to people is very hard for me because I'm a very introvert person, and my job itself kind of keeps me that way because I don't know, I spend about 500 plus hours in the airplane by myself, nobody to talk to. So getting out and talking to people is very hard for me. I'll show up to businesses I want to talk to, and I'll sit in the car for 20 minutes trying to talk myself up to go talk to them. But I'm getting better at it. I still struggle quite a bit with that, but I just remember what Paul Alex always says. He says, "Closed mouths don't get fed." And take a picture of my family, and I look at that. I'm like, man, come on, Adam, you have to do this for your family. So
Yeah.
it's that's a huge struggle for me, but yeah, just try to prepare yourself as much as possible. John is always great. He is always there to answer questions I have. I don't use him as much as I probably should, but I try to do my own homework first before reaching out to him. So that's probably why he hasn't seen as much conversation from me, is because I tried to do my own homework first.
Yes,
Yeah.
and one other thing is yeah, we all psych ourselves out to go into the appointment, and one of the things that I do, is I kind of prepare myself. I don't like, sometimes what I do that helps a lot is like, you know what, I'm not gonna go in and sign this account today. Okay, that's not even my goal. My goal is to go in, introduce myself, get to know the owner, and see if there is something that I can help them with. Okay. And if I do that, that takes away all the pressure of me even, uh, already letting myself down that they're going to say no. Okay. I first prepare myself, but like, I'm not going in with the intention of signing this account today. I'm going in to talk to the owner, gather some information, do some research, find the solution, and work on this. And I can determine how long it's going to take me to sign this account by talking to the owner and then finding the solution. And always finding the solution for them is the key. And building the rapport is the key to get them to open up and to say, well, okay, well, I do have this problem, or I haven't looked at my statement in so long, or, I do notice those fees, those back end fees.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So those are key. Now, what was your second account?
My second account, he's a gun shop owner. I was actually taking my deer to the processors as I drove past his shop. I saw that he was there the day before Thanksgiving. Actually, he was there. So I dropped my deer off, came back, and swung into his shop. He was busy getting ready for Thanksgiving. I have bought one gun from his shop, so I kind of already knew him, not very well. But I walked in there and introduced myself again, told him about the cash discount. He was very busy, so he's like, well, I'll schedule an appointment with me about 2 weeks later. So I was like, great, cool. His only objection was most credit card companies don't like gun shop owners just because of everything going on, and they get dropped all the time. So I left that. initial meeting, I actually text John and asked him, I was like, do we support gun shop owners? How does that work? And he said, yes, we do. Clover application is the way to go on that, even if we're using a Velar terminal and stuff. So I was like, cool, I got that for when I go back and talk to him. I went and talked to him on the 5th, just a couple days ago, and walked into the shop. We talked for a minute or two, and I told him that we support gun shops all the way, and I don't foresee us really ever dropping them. And he was like, great, where do I sign up? So he was very easy. I was like, man, I wish all of them were like that. So easy. He didn't have any objections really, and signed him up, and I'll be going and installing his terminal as soon as I get it.
Yeah, that's a great example of just, starting with the businesses that you already frequent, right? You're already a patron of, a customer of, which is great. Even if you don't have a relationship yet, they're probably seeing you around, seeing you come in and buy stuff before. At the very least, you can say, hey, I come here a lot, or I bought this, bought that. So there's a little bit of kind of rapport already built just for the fact that you actually are a customer of theirs versus like a complete stranger walking into the store. So anybody watching this, I think it's a good, if you're asking yourself, you're really stacking yourself out of how do I actually go out and actually where do I go? How do I actually have a conversation with the owner? Just think through about, think about the stores that the merchants you actually frequent yourself, and that's probably a good place to start.
Yep, that is.
Absolutely. Yeah, and the fact that you kind of already you have, even though you don't notice it, but you guys have a rapport. You guys are both into hunting. So that, and sometimes we have to go in cold and we have to build some type of a rapport. But the fact that you already have some type of rapport, it eliminates, it got you to the front of the line, a lot faster than having to go through that whole process.
Yep, that does.
Which is great because yeah, I mean, like every day we're going out, talking to people, we're dropping off our dry cleaning, we're picking up feed for the chickens or something like that. All those people are potential clients.
Yeah, I do have a coffee shop that I'm talking to right now. I talked to them yesterday, bought a cup of coffee. They're using a Square terminal. So I bought my cup of coffee and my wife's cup, and it was like $8.95 or something. So I did the quick math, and it came out to about 4% after their 10-cent swipe fee. And I told the owner, I was like, I just you paid about 4% in processing fees for my cup of coffee. And she came back and said, no, I only paid 2.6%. And I was like, yes, but you have that 10-cent swipe fee on it. And a light bulb just clicked in her head, and she's like, oh crap, I am. So I actually I'm going to talk to her Sunday. She goes to my church also. So I'm going to talk to her Sunday and hopefully have another deal coming through beginning of the week.
There we go.
Awesome. Yeah, that's a good way to break it down right there.
That's great.
That was great.
Cool.
Yeah, it's just like a natural conversation, it's like,
yeah,
it's just going in naturally, just bringing it up, just kind of throwing it out there and see what they say, and then go from there.
Yep. So she really hasn't had much objections yet. I know she's a little iffy on the 4%, so I'll probably have to drop that a little bit. But so far, that's the only objection I've really got into on hers so far.
Awesome.
Great. Cool, guys. I think that's everything I have on my side. Any last words or parting words from either one of you guys before we wrap up?
I would say that if you're on the fence about joining Paul Alex's program, don't be. It does require a bit of work on your end, but the benefits of it is life-changing. My goal is to eliminate my job, what I'm doing now, to be able to spend a lot more time with my family and my kids. And this is going to be the way that I think it's going to happen.
Absolutely.
So we're super stoked and excited.
Yeah. And just the beginning, you're just getting started, so you've already from from how long you've been in the program versus how many deals you close perspective, you're definitely ahead of the curve. I can tell you that in terms of looking at other clients that come in. It's not saying that, you know, it's like a skill level thing or anything like that, but it's just to close 2 deals within, you know, your first basically month or two. It's really a good sign that this is something you can scale.
Yep, it is.
Absolutely. And I'll just add that, you know, everybody comes in at a different level as far as how much sales experience. Some people may not have sales experience, but they have, you know, they're great at building rapport. So that goes, you know, that goes into, you know, how fast you learn your objections and the rebuttals, which Adam is doing really well, is, you know, learning those objections that are going to come up. And once you learn them, they're going to be the same objections over and over. The more you practice them, the better you're going to be at delivering them. Okay. And you're going to deliver them with more confidence. Just like anything you do in life, the more you do it, the better you're going to get at it. And the same thing with this. After a while, the objections aren't really objections anymore. They're just questions. And yeah, that's another thing. If you just think about objections more like as questions, like they need more information before they can make that decision. So yeah, thanks again for the interview. Congratulations, Adam. Yeah, we look forward to definitely continuing to help you build your portfolio. And let's go.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, guys.
Perfect. All right. Thank you guys. Take care.